Friends, I welcome you to the series of discussions on the National Educational Policy 2020. So, in this, we have covered the objectives of the National Educational Policy in the earlier series, and in this series, I wish to discuss with you the issues pertaining to the school education. You are aware that the school education is mostly in the hands of the state government, and also much of it is in the hands of the private sector. So keeping this in view, we are supposed to discuss about the various matters of the school education. So the very objective that was proposed through this national education policy is achieving 100% gross enrollment ratio. So this is at least up to the secondary level. So the government wants that there must be achievement to the extent of 100% of the GER by 2035. So this is a very long term objective, and we have to see to what extent we will be able to realize. In this context, we can also go into the retrospect that where this objective has been said to be like achieving this for a past so many years. There has been an objective of universal education. So compulsory education up to the age of 14, that was incorporated in the Constitution of India, but still that has not happened. We are trying to remind ourselves the constitutional provision wherein there is universal education that is to be provided up to the age of 14. So for about 70 years of the independence, we were not able to really achieve this kind of an objective. But again, it has been proposed that we will try to achieve this and provide universal access to education at all levels, not only at the school education level, but also at the level of the higher education, and also including the professional education that the policy has been trying to achieve. And in this context, they have been also having the objective that we will be providing for universal education and achieving 100% gross enrollment ratio up to the level of secondary education. If we review this kind of a situation, and we will find out that the situation has not been really impressive. So it's only at the primary level that there has been some 95% of achievement at that level. At the when it comes to the question of secondary level, there has been a dropout to the extent of about 50%. That means the actual rate has been hovering around 53 to 56%. And when it comes to the question of higher education, that the gross enrollment ratio has been really very low, and it has been hovering only just about 25 to 26%. And that is why that the national educational policy is now thinking of having the better education and better enrollment ratios. So this we have to see to what extent we will be able to achieve this, and for this only that the policy has been putting a target of achieving the same at 2035. So about 15 years from now. This is one major objective we have to see. And similarly, there has been one focus on school education system, that is relating to the focus on child development. What they have been identifying is that early childhood care and education, that is said to be ECCE, early childhood care and education. This concept is based on the realization that the personality development of a child is going to take place at the early years of their age. And we all have so much of contribution from the famous psychologists like Simon Freud. So we have said that the child development takes place at the or completes at the age of 6 itself. So in that context, 0 to 6 years are going to be very very important in improving upon or laying the foundation for the development of the child. So in that context, so the early education has been emphasized in the national education policy, for which they want to change the curriculum and also the very teaching learning process. Concentration is said to be available, be there on the play based and activity based education. So that here too they have all been there on the reciting of the whole thing and then mugging up and all these learning by heart. These are all said to be the teaching learning methods. But nowadays they have been focusing on all the play based activities up to the at least completion of the primary level of education. So here based on that, and also one more thing that the national educational policy has been trying to bring to our notice is that development of the suitable curricula and also textbooks. And here in this context they say textbooks also they will identify wherein so the national level textbooks with local content. So there will be focus on the issues relating to the locality of the area, the different states they can also contribute in this context. And one more thing in this curriculum development is that the focus on the areas or important issues of that particular locality, say like through the stories, to the plays and through the dramas and all the kinds of art forms they want to incorporate in the syllabi and see that that is all done. So in that context, so we can say that there is a major deviation as far as the curriculum development is concerned. And the third thing in this context is that they have been bringing out a major change in the system of education itself. And hitherto, in many of the states, it is popular as so 10 plus 2 plus 3. So up to class 10, and then the further 2 years are known as so PUC, so pre-university course in some states, and it is known as intermediate in some other states, and afterwards degree. And in all these cases, so there is a 10 plus 2 plus model. Now in this school education, the focus is they want to say 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4. In the sense, first 5 years, that means the imagining that the student or the child will come to the school after completing 3 years of so nursery. So at 3 years he will come, and up to the age of 8 they will be under class 5. So then 3 classes up to 8, and then up to 11, and then up to 18. So here what they are, that means relating to age. But class wise if we can see up to the standard 12th, so they are going to be there in the school. So the major deviation in the national education policy is that they are going to be there up to class 12. So far class 10 is only the ultimate point, and it is said to be the threshold limit as far as this is concerned. So now there will be a major change and major deviation. Up to class 12 the schooling is going to continue, and now this will transform the kind of education system that is there in the at the states level, where many of these states have up to 10th only the schools, and afterwards PU. So now what happens is that these PU colleges become so redundant. So where all these class 11 and class 12 they are going to merge with the schooling system, and hence there is no case for the PU boards or intermediate boards. So now that entire system is going to get merged with the schooling system. So this is one of the major changes that is being thought of. And also earlier there is no exit mechanism that is provided, and in fact there are CBSE schools, there are ICSE schools in our country, and wherein one student can also go up to 12th class 12 in that system. And here one major feature that the policy is going to provide is relating to the exit option that is available. So if a student wants to exit at the class 10, he can exit and then okay, go for some other kind of education. And then at class 11 also there is a kind of exit option that is provided, and class 12. So there is no compulsory fixation of any child or any student up to class 12. So this is a major kind of deviation that they have been proposing. And all these levels that they have been thinking of, say up to the age of 8, that means the first level is going to be the 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4, that is the kind of system where in the first case this 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 system is going to operate like this. In the first pattern, the child will be attaining the age of 8 years. So that means he will be entering the school system at the age of 3 and he will continue for 5 years and up to the age of 8. So wherein he will be completing, this is called the foundational stage. So wherein he will be completing 3 years of preschool and grades 1 and 2. And in the next 3 years he will be completing grades 3 to 5, 3, 4 and 5. That is called as preparatory level. And in the next 3 years, that is called the middle level, where he will be completing the grades 6, 7 and 8. And in the next 8 to 12, so the grades 4 years, where that is going to be high school level. So wherein he will be completing grades 8 to 12. So this is how the schooling pattern is going to be completed in this manner. And another important thing is the entire primary education is going to be handed over, or where the existing system is going to be activated, that is Anganwadi Kendras. So in many of the states, this Anganwadi Kendras are there under the Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan scheme. So wherein they want to activate all these centers, whereby the major responsibility for the foundational stage is required to be taken up by these Anganwadi Kendras. That is why they want to step up allocation also to these Anganwadi Kendras, and where they have to really bear the responsibility for this kind of a thing. That is one thing. And also there is another focus that is relating to the languages, and this has also become a contentious issue as far as the states are concerned. Here the national education policy up to 5, that means the first pattern up to the 11 years where we have been talking about. So 5, that means 3 plus 5, 8 years. They say that this must be completely in the mother tongue or home language. That is these are the two terms that the educational policy document has used. So in that context, the foundational stage education should be undertaken in the mother tongue or in the home language. So wherein that they have to coach the children in that. And then if possible, and if the states also would like to continue, they can continue up to another 3 years. That means up to the age of 11 also, so that the student can complete, and up to that one also he can give. So that means up to 8, 5 plus 3 plus 3, by the time up to the age of 11 also of the child, so they can continue this instruction in the home language or the mother tongue. Now this is the real contention, or this is the contentious issue as far as the states are concerned. Now that there has been a great debate on this, what should be the medium of instruction at the school level? So we are all aware that it is only in the government setup that the schools are giving education in the mother tongue. That means as directed by some of the states as mandatory. And as far as the private setup is concerned, all the schools are only English medium schools because of the preference by the parents and also by the others. What has been happening is that they are all so focused on English medium. Now there is a controversy as to whether the schools should be run on the mother tongue basis or whether the school should be run on the English medium. So now naturally many parents are showing interest to join their children at whatever cost in the English medium schools only. So now if this is going to be made compulsory, the question here is whether the governments either at the central level or at the states level, they will make it mandatory for the introduction of this mother tongue up to this foundational level. That means up to the age of 8. So that means those first 5 classes. That means 3 years pre-primary and then 2 grades 1 and 2. So this is the question now. And on which so the many of the experts have been saying that so if they really are coached in the terms of the mother tongue, their grasping power will be more, and hence it is always suggested that there will be mother tongue. But the preference, if we see by the parents are trying to show interest by joining their own children in the English medium right from LKG, UKG and all that. So this is a controversy whereby so we have to see. And in fact, some of the state governments are also opening in the English medium and trying to make established schools for English medium from the beginning stage itself. So now this is one controversy that is arising, and that is where I think the policy makers have to consider this, whether they will make it mandatory or whether they leave it to the states or the state governments. This is one issue. And the second issue relates to the 3 language formula that is being followed at present. So wherein we are all aware that the language, first language, second language and third language is the kind of a system. Now the national education policy also proposes this 3 language form, that continuation of this. Already states like Tamil Nadu, they have been contending that they do not follow any of this, and there is no case for implementing Hindi as the language or any second or third language. We only go with 2 languages. So that way there has been already an issue that is raised by some of the states. Now I think other states may also, some of the other states who are very particular in this matter, they may also join. So how to sort out this particular kind of a thing is the another issue that we must be looking into. Then other case is one important change that is going to happen is that the curriculum development, and wherein they want to bring about many of the changes as far as the school curriculum is concerned, and they want to make the entire curriculum, as I told earlier, so play based and activity based kind of a thing, and wherein they want to establish an authority, what is known as the State School Standards Authority, through which they want to set up so what are the standards that should be maintained at each of the levels. That means at the pre-primary level, primary level, secondary level and at the high school level. So what are the different kinds of standards? Already we are aware that the organizations like NCERT, National Council for Education, Research and Training, NCERT, that has been looking into all this kind of a thing. Now they want to take the support of the NCERT and then do this curriculum development activity, and for which an authority is going to be established. And another important measure that they have proposed is that hereafter accreditation will be followed and may be made mandatory, or initially they may make it voluntary, but there will be an accreditation system that is going to be put in practice. We are aware that this compulsory accreditation or accreditation initially for higher education was made optional, but now it is made mandatory. So every higher educational institution, that means a degree college, an autonomous college or a university, they must go for assessment and accreditation, and there is a national level body called National Assessment and Accreditation Council located at Bangalore. So that has been taking care of this accreditation job. And in this new policy, they are also proposing to permit many other agencies to be the accrediting agencies, and for which they want to constitute a national level authority also. So they want to bring school system or school educational institutions also into this accreditation process, and thereby establish uniformity in the standards. This is another important measure that is there. And also the relating to the school system, yet another important issue is relating to the following of Gurukula model of teaching learning. We are all aware that so far, so the policy incorporates that at the school level we should follow the Gurukula type of a concept, wherein the focus will be more on the teacher, and the teacher is required to be empowered as far as his knowledge and then his skills are concerned. So for that, they are trying to depend upon the kind of a system which in the ancient times that the Indian society has followed. They want to keep a lot of confidence on this kind of a model, for which they have been proposing that they will try to empower the teachers and make the continuous professional development, that where they say that minimum of 50 hours so of the per each year there must be, the teachers must undergo the training and the professional development for a minimum period of minimum number of hours of 50, and thereby empower them and thereby improve upon or update their own skills. So this is yet another kind of a model that which is implemented. I think it is where I think there are some issues relating to what extent that these measures are going to be implemented by the state governments, and also how we can implement these things in the private setup. As we are aware that almost about 70% of the schooling is now being done by the private educational institutions or private sector. To what extent all these reforms are going to take place and how they are going to be implemented remains to be a contentious or a issue of debate. So in this context, I think what kind of regulation that the government is going to bring in is the issue. And the second issue in this context is relating to the states. So school education, by virtue of the education being in the concurrent list, so education, we are aware, the school setup is to a great extent is in the hands of the state governments. So now states, many of the states have their own government schools, that means their own schools, and similarly they are depending on the private sector too. And in some of the states, local bodies, that means local self-governments also are very strong as far as this school setup is concerned. So in that context, how do we really regulate or control these activities for improving upon the efficiency of the school system also remains to be an issue of contention and an issue of debate. Unless in all these cases there is a better clarity that is brought, I think the effectiveness of the implementation of the national educational policy is going to be limited. So we can discuss on all these matters and how we can improve upon this school system. So in this discussion, so I am only focusing on the school education setup. And the next part, the second part of the National Education Policy 2020 relates to the higher education. So we will cover in the next series or in the next discussion of series about the higher education, what are the measures that were contemplated and how they are expected to be put into practice, and what are the issues for discussion in this, and what can be done for the effective implementation of these matters we will see next.